Yeah, I want to go over the top few Hulda Clark herbs that I use with Beck zapping. Actually, I like the Beck zapper better than the Hulda Clark zapper. I know some people might be saying zappers, whatever. But, you know, I guess when you're using the 30,000 hertz, you don't really feel it, but, you know, there's an indicator light to show that it's actually, the electricity is permeating the body. The zapping is supposedly, allegedly, trying to disable or slow down or keep microbes from replicating. But there's another whole idea behind, let me put it this way. Hulda Clark, she said, like, in other words, if you look at some of her writings, you look at some of her interviews, she would say, like, cancers and serious other diseases are caused by parasites. Now, you can maybe say the parasite is, you know, also a bacterium, a viri, and all this type of stuff. But actually, she's talking about, like, fluke worms and flatworms and things like that. But really, if you dig down into what she said, she didn't exactly state that that was the actual cause. She was stating that these types of parasites were carriers for viri, and these parasites would actually carry the virus throughout the body. And you know, you start thinking about that, and I'm not a microbiologist, she was a microbiologist, but when you're thinking about that, you know, that would make sense. I mean, if there's a, she alleges that there's certain type of worm or worms, or types of parasites that actually will be carriers for the cancer viruses, and that will actually spread the cancer throughout the body. It's not like it's the actual cause for cancer, and that's what she said. But if you start thinking about, you know, if you don't take some of the statements that are maybe taken out of context, which she said, or taken out of context of her writings, or taken second or third hand, like in other words, she'll say that a parasite, you know, a fluke worm or, you know, flatworm or something causes this or that. Actually, what she's stating is that it's a carrier for other pathogens, and that allows, like, say, cancer to spread throughout the body. Like, for instance, I guess, well, you know, it's true. I mean, it's not a guess, but I mean, it's actually like people are always still looking for the supposed cause for cancer. But allegedly, there's two main viri that are the cause of cancer, and according to Hulda Clark, there's other parasites that these viri jump into that will cause the cancer to spread throughout the body. Because if you have this parasite, it will enable a cancer virus to spread throughout the body, right? Now, I'm going to go over. Actually, I'm going to show you a list of 4, but it's actually, there's 4 herbs in this product. I don't sell this product. And I'm going to tell you this, anytime I put a link or something on any of my videos in the information box, I got no financial connection to them at all. It's something I just thought was a great product. I know there's dozens of people that have asked me to put links in the bottom of videos, and they'll send me some money or whatever the heck it is. I do not even comply with any of that. The only links I ever put down on the bottom of the information box, and I don't think I'm putting a link here for anything, but it's something I actually believe in, that I used. So just, you know, I don't think I'm actually going to put a link on this, but people ask me about putting links on the bottom of my videos in the information box, and I don't do it. I don't do it because I'm not playing sales pitch here. I'm trying to give out the best information that I researched as a layman, but still, I think, you know, I read extensively, and I think there's a logic behind trying to knock out the larvae of the worms and stuff. And you can have fresh fruits every day, fresh vegetables, eat raw organic, and you still can have a problem with this. So it's kind of simple to get rid of, you know. There's Black Walnut Hulls, Wormwood Cloves, and this one is Quassia, or otherwise known as Bitterwood. Now, the top 3 that Hulda Clark talks about is the Black Walnut Hulls, Wormwood, and Cloves. Cloves has been around forever. I know people put it on foods for different types of seasonings, whole cloves, But cloves has been known as an antibiotic. I mean, in various cultures, even people on islands that were like, separated from other main cultures. I don't even know how they got the word, but they figured out that cloves was a very, very powerful antibiotic. So, actually, I'll use a lot of this cloves. This is ground cloves. I'll use that a lot. But and I'm not selling this stuff, but this is what I personally get. It's Kroeger Herb Wormwood combination. It actually contains these 4 ingredients, which the first 3 are the 3 main ones that Hulda Clark recommends. Now, I know people have various opinions about Hulda Clark, but I'm going to state this. I know it seems to be a competition between Bob Beck, the Bob Beck crowd, with his zapper, and Hulda Clark crowd. But I have to say that I think there's definite merit with what Hulda Clark says. Sometimes, the catchy title on her presentation of her books is like, wow, the cure for all diseases, I can't bite into that either. But, the thing is, some of her theories or some of her observations and tests, but it's not even a theory, I guess, as a microbiologist, where she determined that many times viri and bacteria or whatever will pick up and go inside a parasite, another parasite, because viri are actually many, many times smaller than the bacterium, and a bacterium is many, many, many times smaller than, say, a flatworm or something. So it's the concept of the flatworm being able to carry viruses throughout the body is not like a ludicrous concept that how could that happen? It makes a lot of common sense. But her as a microbiologist, she said she actually found this to be the case. Now her device, she uses a zapper that's 30,000 hertz, 100% positive offset square wave, in conjunction with these herbs to try to minimize these worms and things like that. And there's other aspects to some of her. It's actually very complicated. But I personally like the old standby Beck zapper. This one's made, I have a few of these. I have one still made by Bioelectric. This I got off of eBay. This is an exact copy of the original Beck zapper, made by Silver Smoke Research. And if you bid on it and you're very smart and you get it early bid, it's actually way below $100 like I paid, but I don't know if that you'll pay that, but some people don't know what it's for, so if you get an early bid and you're lucky. But it's a typical zapper. Like if you turn it on, you see the red light, the red-green light is flashing alternatively back and forth at 3.9 hertz. And that's just telling you the circuit's working, and when you plug it in, this light goes off. But one thing that Bob Beck said, I think he's got in my opinion, I think he's got a better zapper than Hulda Clark's design. And I think he made the best, as far as like zappers go and what their capability is. I mean, zappers are not limitless, do everything devices. But one thing he said was, do not take any herbs when you're using his zapper. And Hulda Clark had it where you take herbs and you use her zapper. I'm going to tell you this. Myself, I've been taking herbs all the time and using the Beck zapper, and I don't know, I have not experienced any kind of problems or anything like that, because he says that, Beck claimed that if he's doing a zapping, there's like a multiple force where your blood becomes more absorbable to herbs. It's like taking double doses or triple doses or many times the dosage. I have not noticed that. I think it's more true. I think where the caution should be with pharmaceutical drugs. If you're taking pharmaceuticals or medications, you got to be very careful with, doing electrical zapping, the Beck bloody zapping. But I want to point out these herbs, especially, I guess these are the first 3 main ones that Hulda Clark used. But it's in this combination, so if you got this, I don't sell. I'll list what it is. Like I said, if you look this up, I'm not even going to put a link. I get it from Puritan Pride. I found that they're the best place to get. That's where I get my stuff from. But you know, do whatever you want to do. I mean, if you're going, whatever your place you get them from, it's the best deal, go there. I like this brand. I personally like this brand. It's simple. You don't have to do, you know, you don't have to go take separate herbs. They got 4 herbs. Hulda Clark lists 3 main herbs. She has more herbs than that, but I want to keep it as least complicated as possible. And Hulda Clark, I think she's got a lot of merit. Like if you're taking these herbs in conjunction with zapping, if you're knocking down these parasites in your body, her statements were allegedly that it would slow down, you know, the spread of viri, because the parasites were actually, you know, they piggybacked on the parasites themselves, the worms or whatever the hell it is. They're microscopic worms. You don't see them, but they're actually on everything. I mean, they're on. You know, you could be eating raw fruits and whole fruits and washing them off, and they're in the fruit, and you don't see them. You know, it's just how it is. You know, so cloves, you could take cloves separately, put it on your food. So that's another thing. Yeah, I want to talk about something else too, because I talked about, you know, taking a lot of vitamin C. That's something else. Not exactly per Hulda Clark, but it's Dr. Pauling, and you know, he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I'm going to actually throw it in this video too as extra information, rather than, you know, it's related to your health more or less. But I know Dr. Pauling. They have him. I don't know him. I mean, he's died now. I mean, he lived to be a very old age. But I know Dr. Pauling is listed on Quack Watch along with Hulda Clark. I don't know about Quack Watch because I saw, you know, well, I don't want to comment on that too much, but I don't even want to comment on that. But the thing is, with the vitamin C therapy, that might be something that's very powerful too. I know, like intravenously, there was a lot of studies that showed that intravenous amounts of vitamin C and the higher amounts were reversing cancers and very strong diseases. I know Mayo Clinic, actually, there's a big controversy over that. Mayo Clinic later on said that, you know, that wasn't true with what we checked, but they didn't use anything intravenously. They went ahead and used it orally to try to fight cancer. Actually, intravenously, I've heard of a number of people that had this controversial treatment intravenously, and it worked against cancer. I don't know if it works against cancer, but I've heard a number of feedback. Now, Dr. Pauling also said that it would reduce the HIV virus disease by 99%. I have not heard of anything on that, period, and if that's actually true too. But who knows? It seems to work against cancer too. Now, I want to actually add something here too, because I was looking at these other videos. It was kind of like I was getting on the conspiracy side of YouTube and looking at some things. And I was looking at videos by Donald Marshall. And I'm going to add one little thing he added in there. He was talking about, you know, the interviewer was asking him about, do they have cures for HIV and HIV? He goes, oh yeah, they just oxygenate the blood. They use a intravenous oxygenation of the blood, and eventually it drives drives the virus out. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about O3 ozone, pure medical grade ozone, administered by a doctor, which I think is now illegal even in Germany. They have to do it other ways, but I think you can get it in Cyprus. And he said that, according to him, that this is how magic, well, I don't even want to say he was cured. Somebody else famous was cured, started to say his name. But it was interesting because the interviewer went ahead and said that, started coming back to him and saying, well, we found out that HIV is actually not really a harmful virus, and she was saying that it was the medications were killing people. And he goes, oh yeah, really? I didn't know that. I says, you know, I didn't know that. But I started thinking, I says, you know, here's a guy that didn't know anything about any alternative medicine at all, or even researched the subject, and somehow he supposedly found out, being an Illuminati puppet, or somebody owned by the Illuminati per se, for the conspiracies, and he said that oxygenation of the blood, which I obviously see as medical grade ozone, will eventually, repeated treatments, he says, will eventually drive out all HIV. I do know, I've heard of some of that stuff. I heard of it with vitamin C, but I do know that that's been I'll say that, I've read too many times. See, cancer is something that's out there a lot more. Cancer, I've heard it worked very well with, because cancer cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment, and it's only in an anaerobic environment that it survives best. Anaerobic. No aerobic being, oxygen rich. It's anaerobic. It's actually it survives best in environments that are lacking in oxygen. I do know that best with cancer. So, that's really how it thrives. But what Hulda Clark is saying is that if you have a cancer in one area, and a lot of times people will get a cancer from exposure to all the different toxins we're exposed to, even bottled water, she says, is actually the plastics in a bottled water. Even there's microscopic bits of this and that, or even the way they wash things and everything. There's microscopic bits of chemicals that we're being more exposed to in modern society. That's actually triggering the cancers, and actually making it easier for the virus to multiply in the body. It's knocking down your immune system. But where she's saying is, where it's good to get rid of these other parasites and worms, is that once you have a cancer in one area, if you don't have these other parasites, it will not spread. That's where she's making her claims. And so if you take a lot of these herbs to actually knock out the larvae of these other types of parasites, which are like flatworms and everything, that are in the healthiest foods going, it will actually, that they are the main vehicle by which the viri they go into these other parasites and they spread. Now, personally, I don't know if this would work, because it's like one of those alternative stuff is more like weaker than pharmaceutical. Even at the turn of the century, the joke, well, it's not a joke, but I mean, it was almost like the saying was that, with the naturopaths, you will die of the disease, you won't die of the treatment, but with the, the medical prescription, traditional other types of doctors, you'll die of the actual cure, then it's first before you die of the disease. So, there's a little bit truth to that, but, the one thing is with some of this natural stuff, you might want to try it in conjunction with other things. I have no reason to know why, taking something like this herb would be, countering any kind of medications, not that I can tell, but, you can ask your doctor that. And I also should actually add on here, because sometimes if people are very much concerned with cancer, and, I know that chemotherapy's gotten this super bad rap about, it's always a death sentence, and, it never works, and sometimes people are thinking that today. Actually, it doesn't work a lot of times, but it does depend greatly upon the skill of the doctor. It's like there's a fine balance of how much chemo, what type of chemo, where exactly it's administered, if it's going to work or not. I know it's toxic to the body, but it's like sometimes it does greatly depend upon the skill of the doctor. So if you have a good doctor and they're giving you chemo, I don't know. It depends on how good he is. I'm not going to know if he's good or not, but I just have to point that out. So these standard medical treatments, they do work, a lot of times. Not all the time, but, if you want to use some of these alternative things in conjunction with the standard stuff, I think it's a good idea, man. But, on the other caveat, if you're taking, like, medications like strong chemotherapy, I would not be using the zapper. Because Dr. Beck, who is not a medical doctor, he says not to take any meds or anything with the zapper, and I'm like saying, well, there is one zapper out there. I'm going to point to a link to it, but it's not available in the United States, though. There is one zapper out there that is able to, if you're able to set it on 40 hertz, and if you're on meds and strong medications, you could still do the Bob Beck zapping set on 40 hertz instead of the standard 3.9 hertz, and you won't be a conflict where, you know, I can't be doing zapping and I can't, you know, because I really can't stand that advice that Bob Beck gave about telling people not to take herbs or medications. Sometimes herbs and medications are very, very good, including prescribed medications. You know, I'm not for anything, you know, I'm not against anything in particular. It's all how it's actually used. I mean, you can go excessive with medications, and to tell you the truth, the doctors are extremely well aware of this. Okay? I'm not a doctor, but I mean, doctors know that it's not good to take a lot of medications, you know? And it depends on who the person is. There's good doctors and bad doctors, isn't that true? Just like everything else, right? So, just want to point out again, this is the actual herbal, the first three are the main three herbs that Hulda Clark recommended. And why, I told you why, because viri and bacteria pretty much piggyback on a lot of the host of other parasites, and they'll spread that throughout the body. That's allegedly even how cancer will spread throughout the body, far more easily piggybacked on another type of parasite. And you know, this is to me it's easy. You got 4 herbs in one product. I don't sell it, but I take it. So I think it's convenient. So that's what I'm putting out here. So there's merit to a lot of different things, and you know, look at the cost benefit, because some of the alternative stuff is extremely inexpensive. It's not going to break the bank, and that's why I think it's worth trying.